Trump having a complete and utter meltdown on New Year's. This guy is unwell. He's posting about George Clooney and Clooney's wife, Amal. Donald Trump saying, I hope my enemies rot in hell. He's saying, rot in hell to the governor of Colorado and to a rhino. I want to see you all rot in hell. Donald Trump is posting photos of windmills and saying that they're actually killing these bald eagles, but it's a photo of 2017 Israel windmills and their falcons and not bald eagle. He keeps on reposting these things. And then he let me just go through them with you. It's utterly absurd. Oh, by the way, he admits defeat. He admits that he's surrendering as well and removing the National Guard from California and from Illinois and from Oregon as well. And he's like, but the Democrats are a bunch of cheaters. The guy's ranting and raving like a lunatic. How about you just say Happy New Year's? All right. How about you post a photo of your family, or maybe you just don't post anything at all. And Dozy Don, why don't you doze back off? But here's what he's posted. Let me read it for you. Donald Trump says that we're removing the National Guard from Chicago, Los Angeles, and Portland, despite the fact that crime has been greatly reduced by having these great patriots in those cities. And only by that fact, just making that up, Portland, Los Angeles, and Chicago were gone if it weren't for the federal government stepping in. We will come back perhaps in a much different and stronger form when crime begins to soar again, only a question of time. It is hard to believe that these Democrat mayors and governors, all of whom are greatly incompetent, would want us to leave, especially considering the great progress that has been made. Question mark, question mark, question mark. President DJT. This guy is deeply unwell in the head, in his body. Just some psychotic meltdown. I don't know. You give me other words to describe what we're watching right now. By the way, hit subscribe. Help the MeidasTouch Network get to 6 million subscribers in 2026. You may think you're subscribed to this YouTube channel because you get our videos and you search for it in the morning and in the afternoon and at night. Just double check that you're actually subscribed and turn your notifications on. Donald Trump goes, the Democrats are a bunch of cheaters and thieves, and they never want to do what's good for America. That's what you're posting on frickin' New Year's? Donald Trump goes, good news. George and Amal Clooney, two of the worst political prognosticators of all time, have officially become citizens of France, which is sadly in the midst of a major crime problem because of their horrendous handling of immigration, much like we had under Sleepy Joe Biden. Remember when Clooney, after the now infamous debate, dumped Joe during a fundraiser, only to go on to the side of another stellar candidate, Jamala K, who is now fighting it out with the worst governor in the country, including Tim Walz, Gavin Newsom, for who is going to lead the Democrats for their future of defeat. I mean, again, this is what the guy's posting on New Year's. This is why he is a deranged individual. Also yesterday, it was reported, New York Times reported, although the MeidasTouch reported it first back on December 23rd, 5 million additional Epstein files are missing that the DOJ says it's now found, not the 1.2 million. Remember when I told you there was 1.2 million, but I said there were likely 5 million to 10 million more? Spot on with the numbers. And the way I knew that is because I've dealt with document productions like this before. The bank records alone could be 1 million records. You have to go through it with a fine-tooth comb because there are, millions of transactions. I mean, Epstein was engaged in potentially a $1.2 billion money laundering scheme running adjacent or parallel or inextricably intertwined with the child sex trafficking ring that Trump and his regime and the MAGAs are now covering up. Democrats in the House Oversight Committee posted, the Department of Justice has produced less than 5% of Epstein documents. What is the president hiding? And why was Mar-a-Lago used to send spa employees to Epstein's personal home? This is Ranking Member Garcia's full statement. It's now clear the Department of Justice has produced less than 5% of the 5 million Epstein documents it has in its possession. This is a blatant violation of federal law and part of a criminal White House cover-up. The American people now understand Trump and Attorney General Bondi never intended to release these files until Congress forced them to act. At the same time, new reporting raises serious questions about Trump's relationship with Epstein and what Trump knew about Mar-a-Lago's role in directing its employees to Epstein's home for so-called house calls. Oversight Democrats have already begun to investigate these disturbing revelations, and what the Wall Street Journal reported was that in 2003, Epstein was banned, allegedly, from the Mar-a-Lago spa. Not from Mar-a-Lago, from the spa, because the father of a purported 18-year-old girl was threatening Donald Trump and Mar-a-Lago with potentially legal action and to go public. So Epstein was just banned from the spa, but that was irrelevant because Epstein wasn't going to the spa. The girls were going to Epstein's home throughout the 1990s and into the 2000s until about 2007, it seems, when Epstein was last seen on the Mar-a-Lago house logs. Trump, or at least the Mar-a-Lago spa, at least in the 90s, they were sending girls to Epstein. Epstein wasn't even a member, but Trump directed people treat him as though he's a member, and they would send the girls and spa workers and masseuses to Epstein's. And there was a reputation that Epstein would sexually harass and sexually assault them. It was described in the Wall Street Journal as engaging in sexually suggestive conduct. What do you mean? He was sexually assaulting them, and he was exposing himself and harassing them. That was the reputation of what was taking place, and they were sending the girls from Mar-a-Lago there. That's what was going down. That's what the Wall Street Journal reported. It was also being reported as well that when Trump had Zelensky in the Oval Office after Trump rolled out the red carpet for Vladimir Putin and made the American military beg like dogs on their knees, or go on their knees like dogs for Putin, in an image that will forever live in infamy in American history, and that Putin will show as propaganda and Russians will show as propaganda for ages. Zelensky and the Europeans show up to the Oval Office, and Trump just wanted to talk about how beautiful Ukrainian women are and how pretty Ukrainian women are, and how his friend Phil Ruffin, who built the Trump Tower in Las Vegas, married a beautiful Ukrainian Miss Ukraine from 2004. And then so Trump put Zelensky on the phone with Miss Ukraine, and Zelensky's like, yeah, I know Ukrainian women are beautiful. I married a Ukrainian woman. But then Zelensky brilliantly turned the tables of Donald Trump in the Oval Office. When he spoke to Miss Ukraine 2004, she was on speakerphone because Trump was trying to be like gross, and Ukrainian women are so beautiful and this, that, and so pretty. How attractive are they? That was Trump was doing that. And then Zelensky asked her, so do your parents still live there? And she said, yes. Where? Odessa. Got it. So they didn't move during the war, the Russia's invasion. They're staying there? No. Why'd they stay there? This is their homeland. They love it. And they know that if they leave and they give up on Ukraine, they'll be giving up on their homeland. And it was an important moment where Zelensky used Trump's creepiness and turned the tables on him during that phone call where Trump's like, and by the way, here's a photo of Phil Ruffin, and here is Miss Ukraine, Alexandra, 2004. And it ended up being a big moment for Zelensky to put pressure on Donald Trump. Let me just share with you, as Trump goes into 2026, let's just talk about the data about how deeply unpopular Donald Trump is. This is from Harry Enton right here. Let's just play this clip right here.
Hey, Manu, look, 2025 was not exactly the best year for the president of the United States. He started off in pretty gosh darn good territory, right? Trump's net approval rating in January, he was 6 points above water, pretty much above where he was during his entire first term in office. But look what happens come December. 12 points underwater, way, way down there. That is an 18-point decline during the course of the year. Now, what has driven Donald Trump's decline in his net approval rating? Well, it's independents. That is the name of the game, baby. Look, in January, Donald Trump's net approval rating among independents was about even, minus 1 point. Not too hot to trot, but not too bad either. Now, whoosh, we're talking about 43 points underwater come December. That is a decline of 42 points on his net approval rating. Donald Trump is hanging out with Jacques Cousteau. That is how far underwater Donald Trump is with independents at this point. Now, what issues are driving this decline in Trump's approval rating, his net approval rating? Well, let's look at two of the key issues, right? The economy, the reason that Donald Trump was elected to a second term back in January, he was in pretty good shape at plus 9 points on the net approval rating. But look come December. 16 points underwater. That is a decline, doing the math quickly here, of 25 points for Donald Trump on the key issue of the day, the economy, the reason he got a second term. And then, of course, immigration, which Donald Trump has really focused in on during his second term in office, something he has been focusing on since he first ran for the presidency all the way back in 2015. Well, in January, he was 9 points above water on the issue. Now he's 6 points below water on the issue. So on the key issues of the economy, inflation, going in the wrong direction for Donald Trump.
Yeah, that's how deeply unpopular he is. We've been doing a lot of coverage of Special Counsel Jack Smith's 8-hour deposition, which was released. As you know, Meidas was the first to publish it in terms of media companies, the full 8-hour deposition. We posted on our YouTube channel. I'm sure many of you watched it. Watch the full 8 hours. You'll have to watch it in parts, but it's very compelling. That's why we wanted to post the full 8 hours. But what I found was notable was before Jack Smith testified, Jack Smith and his lawyer received an email from Pam Bondi from the Department of Justice saying that we will not allow you to speak about the Mar-a-Lago case because Judge Cannon, Trump's stooge Judge Cannon, she's refused to release volume 2 of Jack Smith's report. And because that's still under seal, the DOJ is taking the position, you see what they're doing with Judge Cannon right there, right? That you can't talk about it, Jack Smith. So what they want to do is send their MAGAs to go on state regime media, which calls itself Fox, and to say, oh, Jack Smith did this wrong. Jack Smith did that wrong. And Jack Smith's like, can I talk about this? Because let me tell you the overwhelming evidence that I have about the Mar-a-Lago case where Trump stole classified information. I want to speak about all of what we did. But the DOJ saying, nope, we will prosecute you if you tell the truth. We will go after if you tell the truth. And Jack Smith's like, hey, DOJ, maybe you want to send a lawyer to be here with me. So to make sure that, everything I'm saying you're good with. DOJ doesn't send a lawyer either. Doesn't it tell you everything that they just keep covering up all of the truth? And they thought that deposition was never going to get out. MeidasTouch Network. It's going to get millions of views here on the MeidasTouch Network, thanks to all of you. That's how we get the word out. The game's changed. The game's changed with independent news and independent media. There you have it, folks. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million subscribers. Thank you all so much for watching, and hit subscribe. Turn your notifications on for MeidasTouch YouTube. Thank you all so much.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.